All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett, McDowell, traderscoach.com. Great to be here. And here we go into September 5th, 2025. All right, we're going to take a look at a few quick things I want to take a look at, and then we're going to also, of course, look at everything that you want to look at as well. Now, just a couple things here. Go ahead and type in the comments area any stocks or ETFs and caps. And let's do 3 at a time like we usually do. And just let me know if you're long, short, or kind of thinking about going into the trade. If you want me to suggest a possible place for a stop, you can let me know that as well. All right, so let me quickly just jump into some of the administrational items here. I'm going to throw that picture over there. And here is the risk disclaimer, which I need to start out with. All right, so trading, as we all know, is risky. There is a chance of losing some or all of your money trading the financial markets. But you know, that kind of risk is inherent in pretty much everything we do with meaning. So it's kind of not extraordinary, so to speak. But you do need to be aware of the risks. You always need to trade with risk capital. Of course, that's money you can afford to risk in the markets. And also know how to do risk control in each and every trade. When you take a trade, know what your downside is as well as your potential upside. That way you can get a determination on the risk to reward on that. And then finally, anything we suggest here, run it by whoever manages your money, like your financial advisor, just to be sure it's suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation, and they certainly, of course, should. All right, a couple books that may interest you on money management are in front of you now. That's a Trader's Money Management System that I wrote for Wiley, and then the Money Management for Traders that we put out as well. My newest book, The Art of Trading, 2nd edition, came out in, January of this year, I guess. And it's done really well, and that is a big book. It's basically covers everything you need to know regarding trading the financial markets, including software. There's a section on prop firms in there and so forth. So that's available at Wiley. It's 608 pages, so it's a big book, but comprehensive. And then I have my book on Elliott wave techniques simplified as well. All right, we're going to be looking at charts today with some software on it. The software is the Applied Reality Trading system that I put together. It's being used now in over 85 countries worldwide, including some hedge funds and private investors all around the globe, so to speak. We have charting software, scanners, we have risk control software, so pretty much comprehensive. All right, quickly give us a like. And also, too, I wanted to quickly mention that we have a comprehensive market update that we do every week, and I do this with a video and a written report. Let me just quickly show you what the written report looks like. I'm going to bring that over to the screen here. So this is done every week, and as you can see, it's very comprehensive. I cover a lot of different assets in the markets. We covered the Dow, of course, the NASDAQ, the S&P. We look at the housing market. We have long-term charts, quick synopsis on what I think is going to happen this upcoming week, as well as long-term. We cover Bitcoin. Here's the housing market. We talk about interest rates, market analyst upgrades, downgrades, and then we have our stock opportunities here with a table of recommendations and any holding positions. So that comes out basically once a week on Sunday. Obviously, we try to get it to you early on Sunday so you can have it to review for Monday. But that's available. Gene, if you're out there and you've got a link to the MOR report, put that up there. Because I also think we have just a couple days left of the Labor Day special on that. And we're trying to get as many people in there as we can because it's really a good service. Feedback is awesome. And as we get closer and closer to a more significant market top, you're definitely going to want to have that information. All right, let me jump out of here and take a quick look at the Dow. You can see we're in the target. We're still in an uptrend. Again, we do a more in-depth analysis on this and the other indexes in the MOR report. But, enjoy the trend up, okay, because it currently is still going on. And Bitcoin, of course, is at around 110 now, so that's been bouncing around a little bit. All right, let's jump in and see what we got cooking here. I'm going to start in Lowell. I think you're the first one here. And let me start with you then, and that's GoGo. I don't think I've ever looked at GoGo before. All right, so looking for a long entry. Okay. All right, so it's had a nice pullback. I don't think the pullback is quite done. At least if it is done, we don't have proof of it turning around back to the upside. We still have a bearish owl here, right? So this owl down here is bearish. Let me get my pointer working here again. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes that goes on the blink. So give me a second while I move that over here, over here. Okay, there we go. All right, so as you can see, still a downtrend. We do have green here. We do have green here. So we do anticipate this reversing and going back to the upside. But as of now, it hasn't done that yet. So I think it's a little early to go in. We may get a measured move. We may have a couple measured moves. One is down into around $8.86, which would fill that gap possibly. And then let me just do a couple other little things in terms of a retracement here. Yeah, so that would be even lower than the normal retracement. And one more measured move possibly on this. If it's larger, could take it all the way down to the bottom. So yeah, I don't want you to go in until we got a turnaround here on that. So hold off on that. All right, CAR. Let's load that and see that one come up here. Okay. This one, at least we've got some type of basing going on here. I like that. We don't have a break in structure yet. We have a break in structure, but not major break in structure yet. A little bit on that range here. We're down into a fair value gap here, which is a good sign. Then an order block a little bit lower than that. So same type of thing on this one. This one's probably going, if it's going to turn around, it's going to do it probably a little quicker now. I'm kind of liking this one a little bit better, but I think you got to give it a little bit more time. All right. So the only other thing that concerns me here is we had a big price bar down here. We may go a little deeper into the weekly fair value gap over here. So if it pops up and gets above this price bar here, all right, that's a good sign. All right, but it's not quite there yet. So I hold off on that one too. PLTR, let's take a look at Altair Technologies here and see what's going on with that. I haven't looked at that one in a while either. All right, so last time we looked at it, we were looking at a target here. All right, we're getting a pullback at the target area. Looks like we're going to have more highs though. All right, here's what I would do on this one. I would simply go to the weekly chart because it's so clear, draw a trend line down. We break that trend line, that's a bull flag for one more high, okay? So that's the kind of the way I would play that. So I think I would hold off before doing anything. We may go down a little bit more, but go to the weekly chart, throw the bull flag on there, and you'll see it pretty clearly, okay? So that's kind of how I would do that. All right, thank you, Lowell. All right, Frank, how are you? Okay, UNG, yes, UNG has made a new bottom, so we're all out of that, okay? You had to, hopefully you got out of that, Frank, and you're out. So the thing is, now we got to wait and see if the new bottom is the new bottom. All right. And so far, we don't know. Okay. So we hold off on that until we get some type of bullish change in structure. And we've had a little bit of a push up here. I expect a move down. Then we want to see in the next move down if that bottom holds. And then one more push to the upside, taking out a short-term high. And then at that particular point, you'll have some type of change in structure. You could take a long trade. Stops got to go way at the bottom. Okay. In terms of stops, when you set stops, you want to set them at definitive places. Anything different, all right, actually decreases the possibility of being successful in that trade. So for example, there's certain trades that have a high probability provided the stop is set at the right place. And usually that means far away from current price, especially if you're going with a long price bar. You've got to put the stop on the other side of the price bar. Anything different lowers the probabilities. So keep that in mind. All right. And that is UNG. And where are you now? I got to go back and find you. Okay, there you are. Okay. All right. The next one for you is CNXC. CNXC. Let's take a look at that. You're long at 49. Okay, so you're long on this one. Okay. It's kind of in a little bit of a range. You can see that on the weekly chart very clearly by the 3 triangular pyramid trading points that are unconfirmed, indicating some form of triangle at this point. So notice the bounce off the structure here. Okay. And, I would draw a trend line right here like this and stay long until that trend line's broken. Okay. It's a very simple way of, making sure you don't give back your profits on that. All right, very simple. Okay, of course, if you know things about fair value gap, you're in a bearish one right now. So you probably are going to get some form of reversal. If you know about price structure and actual individual price bars, this could be setting up for a bearish top. You want to check the volume, see what kind of volume you have, and then see if you have any trapped long traders in there of significance. And that could be an area where we're getting ready to pull back. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. So that is that one. CRBP is your next one. Let's see what this one looks like. And you're looking at this one. Okay. So this is one we looked at before. We have a target set up inside the bearish fair value gap up there. And that's 26 to 39. We got a pyramid on the weekly chart. And, on this one here, it's a little bit extenuated, but if you were willing to set your stop below the pyramid or at the very bottom, then that's a trade. You could always do an option on it. If the stop is so far away and you don't want to put it way down there, just buy an option on it. All right, then that can help you control your risk by only buying enough that you're willing to lose if the option expires. But the point is that I think probably not a bad long trade, but you have to put your stop pretty far down. Minimum of around 619 maybe on the stop. Let me just see what the low is on that price bar there. Yeah, I put it at 660. Okay, that's where I would put it, and then let it run. The only problem is you're probably getting a little bit late on the daily chart, so you will get a pullback if you wanted to wait a little bit. Okay, but that looks like not a bad one out of the 3. Okay, not too bad, not too shabby. So I think I'll put this one down as a possibility. I'm not going to recommend it simply because it's a little extenuated on the daily chart. So for most people, I don't think they can put their stop as low as it needs to go on this one. All right, let's see what we got here. Ed, you're up next. Good morning to you. AMD. Let's check out AMD here. All right, so you're down 7%. I don't know exactly where you got in, but that is the risk you take when you get in an extenuated trend. So in other words, you had basically quite a few pyramids already, which is, and you kind of had a situation where you had this high here with bearish divergence in the owl. Now you're in the red area, so, and you're below the trend line. So we have a green on the daily at this point. So you're probably going to get another high. You had a micro channel here and actually a micro channel here. You could have a little bit more of a pullback into the 144 to 119 range. Okay, that's very possible before it resumes its uptrend. So I think probably if you wanted to hold it, you'll get bailed out on it. But if this was a short-term trade, you'd be out of it. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at HIMS and potential buy, okay, on this one. Give it a second to load. Okay, this is looking pretty good. All right, so we have green. When I say green on the weekly, what I'm looking at, just to be clear on that, is the PTF here and the owl. So this is the owl, which measures momentum, and this is the PTF. So when I see that on a long-term chart, no matter what's happening short term, we should resume and make higher highs. So what I like about here, okay, we had a high here, we pulled back here, we're starting to move up again. All right, we did break the structure here, so I'm kind of liking that. If you get a pullback, I'd kind of maybe wait for a pyramid before I go. The pyramid will solidify a pullback and a big change in structure at that point. Okay, so I think that one's got possibilities. Keep an eye on that one, and we can put that on the watch list for next week because that's probably getting close. All right, good. All right, GEV. Let's see. Okay, so you're up 240%. Okay, did I read that right? Hopefully it's not 24%, but even if it is, that's still very good. All right, so looks like we're kind of breaking down here a little bit. Same thing goes with this one. All right, again, you're in a micro channel here that's gotten broken. You even had somewhat of a micro channel here. Okay, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let me redraw that. We had a kind of a micro channel here. Okay, so you broke the micro channel. Usually after a micro channel like that, okay, it will resume its uptrend after it corrects. So what I would do with this one, if you're up to 40, you could sell out a little bit now and then wait for it to break the trend line because we don't know exactly how far down it will go. It may go 50% retracement. But if I don't think it will, I think we'll probably just do a pullback here with another high. Okay. You've had one push, two pushes. You usually will have a third push up. So I think probably you could hold this and add to it or sell out a little bit, but it should resume itself. Okay. So I think you're okay to hold that one. All right. Next high, though, you might want to get out. All right. Or at least bring it here and we'll take a look at it. All right, UNP, let's take a look at that one for you. All right, potential buy on this one. All right, this one, too much red in the PTF, so I kind of wouldn't touch this one, okay? So no go on that one. JOBY. Potential buy on this one as well. All right, this one here, green PTF, so buying makes sense after this move down is over. So let's just take a look here and see on this one. All right, you're right smack in the buy zone, but you haven't gotten a turnaround yet. So a couple ways you could play this, okay? One is obviously wait for the next pyramid up, all right, which will be, something like that, all right? Draw a trend line straight down, and when it breaks the trend line, if you want to be aggressive and go there, got to put your stop probably under here. So I would kind of wait to see a turnaround here because you still are heading down. All right, but that has the potential to be real good. So let's put this on the watch list as well for next week, okay? Bring that back next week. All right, let's take a look at your next one here, which is INOD. INOD, okay? And let's see, potential buy. All right, well, at least the downtrend looks like it might be interrupted. I don't know if it's going to go into a range here or not. Let's take a look and see here. You've got pullback here, ABC possibly. Let me just see if it pulled back into structure a little bit there, a little bit here. All right, I mean, you know, you got a red bar forming here. So the funny thing is when you trend a little bit, all right, there's a lot of times when you go into a range before it decides either if it wants to trend back down or up. And so what happens is, you know, you'll get a big price bar like this, then you'll get a reversal. Many people will go long only to get faked out into a range, all right? So ranges actually are pretty common, more so than trending markets. So usually when you go into a range, it takes 4 ups and downs before really it gets ready to break the range for the most part. And the situation with this is that I'd like to see how this bar closes today before actually telling you whether this looks like a significant breakout or not. So it's a little early to tell, but it's doing the right things for a breakout. Now, the other way you could certainly play this, all right, and this depends on a lot of your psychology here, is if it pulls back, you can draw a trend line, something like that, right? And if it breaks a trend line again to the upside, you could go with it. But for right now, I'd take a step back a little bit, and let's see how this does over the next day or two. Okay, and see if this is a real push up or just a range. But yeah, I think it's got potential. All right, so that one can go on the watch list as well. All right, thank you. All right, Gene has put a link into the MOR report if you're interested in that. Thank you, Gene. Okay, that's in the chat area. All right, let's move on. Lowell, how are you? TRVI. And looking for long entries on these. Okay, so let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so pretty extended on the weekly chart, and we've got bearish divergence on the owl. So we've got higher highs and divergence right there. See that? So that right away, you got to be a little bit careful, or at least suspect on that. We got a red owl now. We had a long wick bar up here. Okay, so you've got trapped buyers, I'm sure, in there, and probably you're getting ready for some type of corrective move to the downside. We did come down into a area here, which is kind of interesting. This area here is the bottom of a fair value gap. But by the same token, let me see exactly a measured move here would bring it up to there. So it'll be interesting to see what it does off this bottom here. But I personally wouldn't look at this one simply because you have a very, very bearish weekly bar as well. Okay, doesn't mean it can't go halfway up that bar before it descends down, but it is it's a little more risky at this stage here. All right, let's take a look at AMPX. So I would not recommend that one. And let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so we've got a little bit of a situation where you could, you've got kind of a situation there. Big move up on the weekly chart. Got a little consolidation. Everything is green down here, which gives me confidence to make a bull flag entry off that. Let's see here. We've got kind of more of a wave 4 structure here. And you've gone into the target zone briefly. Okay. So I could see this going down a little further. Also, too, you got a fair value gap in this area here on the weekly. I wouldn't be surprised if it creeps into that before it goes up. But, there you have it. You also have a fairly long wick on that one. So in terms of a bull flag, you have a possibility. There's nothing certain when you take a trade, but if this bounces out and you want to take a fairly trade based off the weekly chart, you got to put your stop down here, okay? And that's it, all right? And if it makes another high, all right, at that particular point, draw another trend line and get out if it breaks the trend line. Otherwise, wait a while until the daily chart gets a little bit more into the fib area, okay? And then look for a turnaround under that. So I'll leave, how you want to do that is totally up to you, but you have two methods in which you could actually help time that trade, okay? All right, let's see what else we got. All right, Ed's back. Hey, Ed, Meta, all right, M-E-N-T-A, and you are up 42% on this one. All right, so got another little high on here. Let's adjust that. So we're kind of looking for this thing to fall apart, all right? Or when it not really fall apart, but it come down a little bit and correct. It's been on a tear here for a while. Target is about 885 to 1134. It really, at this particular point, let's draw a trend line here. I think it broke the trend line. And you can see it there. Seems to be kind of trying to come back up. We got a red owl over there. So we're, it's getting a little weaker for sure. You got bearish divergence on the owl here, okay, compared to here. And you're starting to see a little bit of that here as well. So I'm thinking this thing, I don't want to be a buyer here for sure. This is the premium area. I want to think about probably in terms of trading, dumping it. All right, so you've got a reason to pull out some. You didn't quite reach the target, but sometimes it misses the target. But in any case, you could have a stop at a variety of places here, for example, if you wanted it here, and see if it. I personally, what I would do on this, Ed, I think, is I would probably put a stop under here, because if it comes back down and takes that out, then that's a change, pretty good change in structure at that point, because you could draw a trend line down. So at that time, anytime you can draw a trend line in the opposite direction of your trade, that's a big warning, okay? So I would do it that way, okay? Plus, you don't have any green PTFs yet remaining. So I would probably think about doing something like that. I don't think I would just hang on to it. All right, and let's see on your next one, SOUN. And you're up 11% on this one. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we looked at this one, I think, last week, and we kind of drew a trend line here. You got another pyramid trying to form here, but it's got to get above that fair value gap here. You've got green here. So I think I would just stay with it, okay? You might, it's pretty volatile, a lot of ups and downs here. But I think I would stay with that, okay? Let's take a look at Snap. I think that's a big AI company too, SOUN. All right, so let's take a look at the next one here. All right, so Snap, new buy all long. Okay, so you bought this one here. All right, so hasn't broken the trend line here. So at this particular point, personally for me, I would be waiting on this one. In terms of going long, let's see where you need to put your stop. Boy, you're in new territory here, right? You do have a green PTF, so your stop's probably got to go under the 460 mark here, because I don't know where this thing is going to stop. And you had a pretty decisive bar here, which should result in lower lows. So I'm thinking here, probably you're looking at around $5 for a bottom on this, okay? That's my assessment on that. So that one I don't think I'd be long on. All right, let's see what we got here. Frank is back. Hey, Frank, let's see what you got here. All right, CRWD. Let's take a look at this one. Short with profit target. Okay, so you are short. Are you short? Or are you thinking of going short? All right, let me just readjust these. Okay, So short signal here. All right, so you're going short in a buy zone, which means kind of, you know, it would have been nice to have been short already, but I'm not so sure. I don't know exactly where you got in. So at this particular point here, I probably, depending on what my profit was, I'd be looking to get out of the short. All right, you're already in the target zone. Okay, so there's the profit potential target zone. So you're already there. You have a fair value gap here. You've got some pretty nice long wicks here, all right, of rejection. Okay, so at this particular point here, yeah, I don't see too much of a reason, all right, necessarily to get out of a short, but if we got above this area here, I think probably I would dump it, okay? Hopefully you made good money on that. I don't know when you got in short, but if you got in short at a good time, that would be super, okay? All right, anything else? So on today's session, really, we got, I didn't really see any super good ones, okay? HIMS is on the watch list, JOBY, all right? And so those are pretty good to keep an eye on. I think INOD, or if I put that, I can't even read my own handwriting. I think it's INOD, all right? I think that was the other one we looked at. But yeah, good to see you guys too. Always enjoy being here and interacting with you. And we move into the fall here, right? And that's pretty much it. I don't see anything else coming in for the day. So now it's time to switch hats for me, and I'm going to go into the NASDAQ on a short time frame and see how we can do there. And Stuart, good to see you too. All right. Yeah, I would, Frank. I'd take your profits on that one, or at least put a stop if it goes above here. Okay. All right. I'm just looking over the comments area. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, good. All right. And as Gene says, give us a like before you go. And you guys have a wonderful week. And we'll see you back here next week. I'll put a little music on, but then I'm going to go close the room. Okay. You guys take care. Have a good one.